Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, June 27th. Upcoming, we have still very strong winds to deal with the next couple of days with low humidity, especially over the southern half of the region, with active fire behavior expected to continue and new fires and holdovers likely from recent lightning. And of course, any new fires that do start will have strong growth potential in these strong winds across Utah and Nevada. A strong cold front has already moved across the north, continuing with showers and thunderstorms and widespread wetting rains, especially across Idaho and Wyoming. In many high elevation areas, even may see some new snowfall. Overall, fire danger is still very high across much of Utah into Nevada, with ERCs above the 90th percentiles. However, fuels will moisten obviously more significant in the north, with significantly decreased fire danger and fire behavior, but much lesser impacts in the south. Looking at our fire potential impacts for the next few days, as that cold front continues to move across the north, we will continue with those scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms and areas of wetting rains, especially across Idaho and Wyoming and into far northern Nevada. Otherwise, strong winds will continue today in many of the same areas we saw them yesterday, with gusts over 40 to 50 miles per hour, and the strongest winds over eastern Nevada into Utah, affecting all of our large incidents with dry conditions. As we move into Sunday, Monday, the cold front pushes south, so those much cooler temperatures will push further south into the basin and near our large fires as we go into Sunday and Monday. So at least we will see a decrease in temperature. However, still dry conditions and those gusty to strong winds will continue on Sunday in southern and eastern areas, and to a lesser extent on Monday. Looking at our morning satellite image, you can see obviously the clouds and ongoing showers and thunderstorms in the north. We did have a very active day with fires yesterday. The cottonwood is very active this morning, and we will see again those fires continue to increase fire behavior going through the afternoon as those winds kick back up. Although winds did stay breezy overnight, and I would expect that during the overnight periods. Over the last 24 hours, we saw again the precipitation in the north. A lot of these thunderstorms in northern Nevada are occurring this morning, but very high humidity, and we saw those wetting rains more widespread in southwest and parts of west central Idaho, and a little bit more scattered further south and east. Currently, the Great Basin went to PL4 this morning. We had 20 reported fires over the last 24 hours for over 19,000 acres and over 20,000 acres of growth on large fires, especially the cottonwood. You can see our fire situation. We've had many fires over the last 24 hours, and many have been to size in the wind across Utah and eastern Nevada. Smoke conditions, we are expecting smoke obviously from our own incidents, so that will create smoky conditions over much of Utah. Looking at our fire danger conditions, you can see obviously in the north, we've already seen that sharp decrease in fire danger, and to a much lesser extent in the south, fire danger only drops slightly. However, we will see a return to rapid increases in fire danger, but in the north, it will take quite some time before conditions return to where they were over the next couple of weeks. But in the south, we will quickly get back up to above that 97th percentile as we go into next week. So looking at the details for the next few days, you can see this strong area of low pressure and cold front moving across the north, which will continue into Monday. So our 7-day fire potential outlook will show that decrease in fire potential across the north, and those very strong winds continuing more widespread today. And then as we get into Sunday, it will mainly be confined to the Arizona Strip, southern and eastern Utah, with less wind on Monday, but still somewhat breezy over far eastern Utah. But you can see overall fire potential does decrease, but still remains in that moderate category in southern areas. Looking at the details of winds and humidity, again, those strong winds today. Some winds in Utah may be stronger than what we saw yesterday, with gusts above 50 or 55 miles per hour, especially in the south and east. And again, still those breezy 30 to 40 mile per hour winds further west. And then as we go through the week, obviously that potential shifts eastward, and the relative humidity stay in more the teens and single digits over the southern half of the region. Certainly not as dry as what we've been seeing, but these winds are obviously very strong. So still a couple more significant days before we see the winds really start to decrease. Looking at the precipitation, any precipitation will be across the north, with again the better chance of more widespread wetting rains and potentially that new snowfall in central Idaho, western Wyoming, and then northern Nevada seeing those wetting rains as well. Temperatures have significantly decreased in the north. We'll see highs in the 50s and 60s in many areas over the next couple of days. And these cooler temperatures will make it down to our larger incidents, especially as we go into Sunday, Monday, with highs decreasing again by that maybe 10 to 15 degree mark. Looking later in the week, Tuesday through Thursday, we will have another trough moving into the northwest. This could be some reinforcing cooler air and some clouds and showers in the far north. We will stay with drier conditions in the south. Winds may start picking up midweek over parts of Utah and southern areas, but certainly nothing as strong as what we are currently seeing. So we don't have any high risk yet. We will be watching those winds as we get towards midweek, but you can see the moderate risk starts to expand, especially as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, and we see that warmer, drier temperatures return. So for wind conditions, again, midweek is what we're looking at for parts of Nevada into Utah. So we'll be watching that for high risk, especially as we see the drier conditions return and a lot more widespread single digits. Not much in the way of precipitation aside from those light showers across the north with this next area of low pressure, again, much weaker than what we're currently seeing. So temperatures stay somewhat cooler up north, but gradual warming as we go through next week. A quick recap of the 7-day fire potential outlook. You can see those obviously strong winds with high risk today and to a lesser extent tomorrow, but still affecting our large incidents. And then as we go into next week, we'll just be watching for that potential return of high risk by midweek with some of those gusty winds. 6 to 10 day outlook from July 2nd through the 6th shows cooler than normal temperatures along the west coast with persistent troughing along the west coast with possibly below normal precipitation for the Great Basin with, again, breezier and dry conditions. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.